Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we've got another picture's worth 1,000 words from you. Today's picture is from a collection that we have here at the museum from, you know what, actually, pause the video right here and tell me what year you think this picture is from. All right, so let's go through some of the clues in this picture that help us date it. First off, the crisp color of the picture points to it being a fairly modern one. The World War II, there was definitely color photography. Color photography has existed for this ship's entire career. However, that older style photography is typically pretty grainy, and this obviously isn't. However, it is probably older than you would think. Just looking at this quality of the photograph, I would immediately think it must be from near the end of the ship's career, and it isn't. The next thing that immediately catches your eye because of the pop of color is the uniforms of the sailors on board. And honestly, that isn't much of a giveaway either, because dungarees were pretty much the enlisted uniform throughout this ship's entire career, especially for working assignments like these guys back here. The first thing, honestly, that caught my eye that helped me date this is I'm staring at the picture trying to figure out why half of the lens is blocked down by this bar going down the center. Like, what is the perspective? There's nothing at the fantail that would block a camera lens looking forward like that. And then I realized that the picture is being taken from must be the pilot's seat and the right-hand seat inside of a helicopter. And I didn't realize that until I looked at the top center where the superstructure is being blocked by like a rear view mirror type thing. And that's when I realized, oh, this is a vehicle that they're in. We're on the fantail, it's got to be a helicopter. So automatically that precludes the 1940s, if the quality of the picture didn't. The part of this picture that really gave away exactly when it is the 40mm gun tub on the port side, just forward of where the bulk of the people in this picture are standing, up against the port side rail. There is very clearly a gun tub there. You can tell it's curved, and you can tell that it curves up towards the inside of the ship so that that 40mm gun barrel could depress against low-flying aircraft or boats. But looking inside that tub, you can see that there is no gun mounted there. So that very clearly positions this picture during the Vietnam War. And in particular, this picture is from December of 1968. So Battleship New Jersey has made it into theater. Further evidence of this is that the 16-inch guns don't have tompions in them. And you notice that starboard side aftmost 5-inch gun that you can see, the barrels are actually depressed. It looks like maximum depression about, maybe it's not -15 degrees, but at least -5 or 10 degrees. And that's often done to swab out the barrels. There's a couple other cool things that you can immediately notice in this picture. First of all, the ship appears to be in remarkably good condition, which again, she was just recommissioned a couple months earlier on the East Coast. She sailed to the West Coast and done some more time in the yard at Long Beach prior to deploying. But the gun turret looks immaculate. You can see a little bit of rust on these air vents back here. The deck looks like it's in reasonably good shape, although it's a little bit wet. That may indicate that there was just a storm that came through. You can see some really dark clouds, especially off the port side of the ship. It may indicate that the ship was sailing at high speeds. At extreme high speeds, the stern will sit down in the water some, and the rooster tail will be high enough that it comes up over the fantail in some cases. There's a really great picture, I believe it's of Iowa, that shows this during a high-speed run she took in the 80s. But the fact that they have one of the underway replenishment tripods mounted on top of turret number 3 points towards them just being alongside a resupply ship or about to be alongside a resupply ship, which likely means that they were not doing anything like high speeds. So it was probably weather. Another thing you can see just peeking out from both sides of that central pylon in the cockpit of the helicopter you're looking through are the antennas from the early electronic countermeasures. Those are the ones that are installed on the main mast, not the ones that are installed on the forward superstructure, which appears to be completely obscured in this picture. Some other fun things to notice. The fire hose reels are mounted on the air vents back aft. Those are not still there. During the 1980s, they actually put in, like they're kind of angled like this, metal pieces around the flight deck that have the fire hoses mounted on them rather than having them mounted on the air vents. Not entirely sure why that change was made. You can see that there are a number of sailors standing around. They have the fire hoses already played out, and they're wearing their damage control helmets. You can tell they're M1 helmets, and most of them are painted red. So this is the flight crash party on the flight deck in case there is some sort of incident with the helicopter. But as you can tell from this picture being taken, the helicopter seems to be on deck, and so it seems to have been safe, and the guys are kind of standing around bored now at this point. Some other cool features you can see, just to the right of dead center in the picture, you can see the ship's gong. This is part of the fog bell system. She's got a bell at the bow and a gong at the stern. We've talked about that in an older video. That is mounted on the old film projection booth that was added in the 50s, and that's where it's still mounted today. A further thing that helps date this picture is that there aren't any antennas on top of that film projection booth like we have today. Another really cool thing you can see in this picture, right below that gong, of course, is the ship's forklift. This is an example of what's often referred to as yellow gear, which normally would be painted yellow. However, on the Battleship, it's painted Battleship gray. The forklift is used to help with underway replenishment, and you can't really see it that well in this picture, but it's powered, I believe, by a propane tank that fits on the back of the cart, just behind the cabin isn't the right word, cockpit, the driver's seat, the one seat on the forklift. Like I said, you can't really see that in this picture. In other pictures, it's much more evident. As best as we know, this forklift was only on board the ship during her Vietnam commission. So that further helps us date it if you are really deep in the esoteric knowledge of the Battleship. One final thing that I didn't notice because it's partially obscured, but Libby pointed out, you can also date this picture because there isn't an aircraft control booth above turret 3 aft of the after 5-inch gunnery director, Sky 4. You can see it's got the original curved shielding around the back there. It doesn't have that built-in booth that overhangs turret number 3. So that further tells you that this isn't quite the 80s yet, despite the really high quality of this photography that makes it look like a much more modern picture than it is. A final thing that helps date this picture, just to the left-hand side of the central pylon for the cockpit, you can see part of the aftermost 5-inch gun mount, sometimes referred to as mount 60, with the 5-inch gun mounts being 51 to 59 on the starboard side, and then 52 to 60 on the port side. Those aftermost mounts are removed when the missile deck is put in. While this picture is partially obscured and the color gradient may lead you to think it's newer, there are plenty of indications of the date of the picture. What are some things that you noticed? What was the obvious thing for you? Was it that 40mm gun tub like immediately stood out for me? Was it one of the other things I said? Is it something I didn't even mention? Let us know in the comment section down below. Remember, if you'd like to submit a picture for Pictures Worth 1,000 Words in a future video, there's a link in the description below to my Facebook page. It's just easier for you to send the picture you want over the Facebook page than for you to try and describe it in the YouTube comments below. So head over there, send me the picture. Don't try to describe it to me because I'll never find the right one. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us on the channel. Thanks for watching.